Alcohols are hydroxy derivative of alkanes. If you remove hydrogen atoms from alkane and replace it by OH group, you get the corresponding alcohols. Now, depending on the number of OH groups that you have, you can classify them as monohydric if there is only one OH group, dihydric if it is 2, trihydric if it is 3, or polyhydric if it is actually more than 1. Anything more than 1 is actually called polyhydric. Example, your glucose, fructose, all those have multiple OH groups. Now, the simplest way to represent an alcohol is COH. Now, this can be an R group, so the OH makes it an alcoholic group. If there is more than one, we call it dihydric, and if there is more than 2, if there is 3, then you call it trihydric. Now, how all can we classify alcohol otherwise? We can also classify them as 1 degree, 2 degree and 3 degree, just like what we did with your alkyl halides or haloalkanes. If the OH is attached to a carbon that's attached to only hydrogen, as in case of methanol, or only one other carbon, as in case of ethanol or anything that is N-alkyl alcohol, these are 1 degree alcohol. If the OH group is attached to a carbon that's attached to 2 other carbon atoms, you call it a 2 degree alcohol, and the 3 degree alcohol is a OH group attached to a carbon that is attached to 3 different carbon atoms, and this could be an R group. You can also call them primary, secondary and tertiary. The other types of alcohol that you need to know are, we can take a diionic alcohol, which are called diols. If the OH group are on adjacent carbons, you call it vicinal or Wick diol or 1,2 diol, just like your alkyl halides. Now, if you were to do the same like an alkyl halide, where you have the OH group attached to same carbon, in an alkyl halide you would call it gem. So, the same I am going to do here, gem or geminal. But one thing you want to remember, unlike your alkyl halide, you cannot have 2 OH group attached to a same carbon. It will eliminate a molecule of water to give you the corresponding carbonyl functional group. Gem diol is unstable. You want to remember that this comes in your exam. Now, you have your diol, triol. Similarly, you can have your triol. The common triol that's in your syllabus is glycerol. These are the basic ways you can write the alcohols. There is few other things that you want to know about alcohol. If you were to go to aliphatic versus aromatic, we can have 2 types even in aromatic itself. So, in aliphatic is too simple. Any of these would be classified as aliphatic. Whereas, when you go to aromatic, there are 2 types predominantly you want to remember. One of them is phenol or phenol type aromatic alcohols, where the OH is directly bonded to a carbon which is part of an aromatic ring. You can have naphthalene ring and have a OH in there, that will also be like a phenolic functional group. Phenols are classified as not alcohols. They are for most part a different type of functional group because they are a lot different than aliphatic alcohols. We are going to see that pretty soon. You have an alcohol that is attached to a carbon, but that carbon is not part of the aromatic ring. So, in a given molecule, there is somewhere in the molecule there is an aromatic ring. So, if there is an aromatic, you already call it an aromatic compound, and there is OH, you call it an alcohol. So, it is an aromatic alcohol. The simplest example of that would be benzyl alcohol. It is an important example. The 2 other types of alcohol that you should know are, one is allyl alcohol, which we have already seen. The allyl functional group is nothing but a propene functional group, and this carbon Okay, if this is taken as alpha beta unsaturated, okay, this is the carbon that is adjacent to the double bonded carbon, and this is an allyl alcohol. This is important, you want to remember. It's a classified compound which has a ene functional group and all functional group. So hence it's an ene and all, but not an enol. What exactly is an enol? We are going to see pretty soon. The last one that you have to remember is a vinyl alcohol group. Vinyl group is nothing but a ethene group, and if the alcohol OH is attached directly to that carbon, unlike here adjacent carbon that's directly attached, that's called a vinyl alcohol. Anytime you have vinyl alcohol or something like a vinyl alcohol where the OH is attached to a C double bond C, this is going to be unstable. It will tautomerize. We have done tautomerism separately in a different lecture. It will tautomerize to the corresponding aldehyde. I'm just going to jump straight over here. The tautomerization is completely altogether different chapter. I have done this extensively. I don't want to bring it up here. Anytime you have an ene and all adjacent to each other. So here it is not adjacent, so it cannot tautomerize. Where it can tautomerize because they are adjacent to each other, it will give you the corresponding aldehyde if it's terminal. If it is non-terminal, then it will give you the corresponding ketone. We will see this as examples. As with all organic functional groups, two ways you can name them. One is a common name and one is the IUPAC name. The common name is extremely simple. You take the corresponding alkane, you drop the A and E and make it alkyl alcohol. For example, ethane becomes ethyl alcohol, butane becomes butyl alcohol. That's very simple. When it comes to IUPAC naming, what we want to do is, we want to eliminate just the ending of an alkane. Just drop the E and put a OL. For example, ethane becomes ethanol, butane becomes butanol, pentane becomes pentanol. Now, when it comes to alcohols, you want to remember the most important thing: alcohols win over a double bond and a triple bond, and also compared to an alkyl halide. But most important, this is the one that you are going to have in your NEET and JEE. This will come most of the time. It wins over a double and triple bond. So if there is a compound, we can take an example. Let's make it somewhere here and somewhere here. Here. Okay. Now, if this is the example given and we have to label them according to IUPAC, the first thing you want to see is you want to have the longest chain. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 carbons are there. So that is going to be pent, and we can number them in two different ways. These are the possibilities we have. I can either go by left to right or right to left. Since the functional groups here are double bond and OH, the OH wins over double bond. I need to have the lowest numbering for the alcohol. So I am going to have 2 all, and when I go this way, I have 4E. So this is the way I am going to name them. So this is going to be pentan, 4-ene, 2 all, and I can drop the E here. There is a vowel here, there is a vowel here, so you drop them. So this is how you are going to name. You are not going to give this a number 1, because the number 1 will give you a small number for a double bond if there is no other priority functional group. But here I have OH, so this is the way we want to name. The other thing that you want to know is, if you take a simple alcohol, for example, this. Now we can name them in common name as, if the OH is here, it will be N-propyl alcohol. Here it is in the second carbon, so you can call it isopropyl alcohol. So that's a common name. When it comes to IUPAC, obviously it doesn't matter whether I go from left to right or right to left, it is going to be 2 all. So there are 2 ways you can write: 2-propanol or propan-2-ol. According to the most recent IUPAC convention, this is the correct way of naming. This has been dropped. So you cannot have the numbering before. The numbering is this way. This way it's easier. The number goes along with the functional group. Right here, number goes along with the corresponding functional group. So the number in the front, you don't have to worry for which one. So you want to remember this change in IUPAC. Now other thing that you want to know is when you are naming an IUPAC, an alcohol will lose out to your carboxylic acid or carbonyl functional group. Those are much more priority. So there the alcohol will become less important compared to giving them priority. That's something we want to remember. We will see that more in detail when we look into the aldehyde or carboxylic acid corresponding lecture. This is the basic way of naming them. Phenol is also called carbolic acid. When it comes to phenol, the common name and IUPAC name both are same for phenol because it's a commonly accepted common name as an IUPAC itself. But you can also name it as just like our alkane. Alkane becomes alkanol. Similarly, this is phenol is a benzene ring with the OH. Benzene, I can drop the E for a OL. So it can also be a benzenol. So that is all another name for a phenol. Now when it comes to phenol, there are a few compounds that you have to remember. First one is substituted phenol when there is a methyl group attached. When a methyl group is attached, this is called a cresol. Now obviously we can have the methyl group in three different possible positions. We can have it over here, here or here. So the common name would be orthocresol, metacresol and paracresol. This is simple. Now when I have to say IUPAC, it's a methyl derivative of phenol. So what I can have is, if there is orthocresol, CH3 is going to be here. So it is going to be OH is here, that's carbon 1, this is carbon 2, 2-methyl phenol, 3-methyl phenol, 4-methyl phenol. So the OH is important compared to a methyl group. So it is a phenol derivative, not a hydroxy derivative of toluene. Similarly, the other compound that you want to remember is the dihydroxy derivative of phenol. Now this can be in 1,2 position, 1,3, 1,4. If it's a 1,2 position, so you can say it as benzene derivative. So benzene 1,2 diol, benzene 1,3 diol, benzene 1,4 diol. That is your IUPAC naming. When it comes to common name, the 1,2 derivative benzene 1,2 diol is called catechol, 1,3 is called resorcinol, 1,4 is called quinol or hydroxyquinone. You want to remember these are the examples that are in your syllabus. So again you want to remember the priority of functional groups and name them accordingly. The question can come as IUPAC name itself, meaning it's one of the easiest question, but sometimes it becomes a toughest question because the other options are something where people are more prone to make mistakes. So you have to be very careful with those. The second time when you need to know the IUPAC naming is when the reaction that is given is not printed as molecules but is given in terms of naming. For example, we can say it's too simple, but propan-2-ol reacts with so and so to give you the corresponding, and that could be an IUPAC name as well, meaning you have to be strong in IUPAC naming. Without IUPAC you cannot proceed to organic chemistry because you may be able to write the corresponding product, but you need to be able to know how to name it. Depending on the degree of alcohol that is given to you, they can answer Lucas reagent. We have already seen this extensively in your alkyl halides. Just a brief quick recap. So Lucas reagent is basically HCl with zinc chloride. Now when you use a Lucas reagent for primary alcohols, secondary alcohol and tertiary alcohol, you get the turbidity, but the tertiary alcohol gives the turbidity right away. Secondary alcohol after 5 minutes primary alcohol actually doesn't give you the turbidity right away at all. You need to wait 30 minutes and sometimes heat is required. So this is something we already seen. The other type of test that you can do is Victor-Meyer test. The Victor-Meyer test can differentiate a primary, secondary and tertiary alcohol easily. You do not have to know for neat Victor-Meyer test details, just know the final result for a Victor-Meyer test, that is more than enough. Here is basically the reaction that is present in Victor-Meyer test. Now if it is a primary alcohol, you get a blood red color, a secondary alcohol gives you a blue color and a tertiary alcohol is colorless. This will differentiate between primary, secondary and tertiary alcohols. The other test that you need to know for an alcohol is just for phenol. Phenol will answer neutral FeCl3 solution. Not just phenol, anything that has an enol functional group. If it is an enol, just like a phenol, it will give you the corresponding result for neutral FeCl3. Phenol gives you a violet color. You want to remember that violet color means there is a phenolic functional group. But it doesn't have to be phenol, it can be any derivative of phenol. For example, we can even have let's say cresol. This will also give you, and we can also have naphthol. All this will answer neutral FeCl3 solution because of the OH functional group attached to a carbon that has a double bond. So anything that has an enol functional group will answer neutral FeCl3 solution. You don't need to know the reaction, just know that neutral FeCl3 solution answers it. For you guys, mostly this is important, it is a phenolic functional group. The other commonly asked question is, they might give you a list of compounds and they can ask you which among them has the highest boiling point or lowest boiling point, or arrange the given set of compounds in the order of boiling points. So in general, boiling point means how easily I can make a molecule go into vapor. Unlike your alkyl halides and also your alkanes and ether, alcohols and phenol have an important property because they have a oxygen atom attached to a hydrogen atom. This hydrogen is acidic, so this can take part in hydrogen bonding. So this hydrogen bonding between an alcohol molecule and another alcohol molecule makes it doesn't want to go into vapor phase easily, meaning raising the boiling point. So the trends that you have to remember in boiling point is, boiling point is proportional to molecular weight, meaning the larger the molecule, it is very hard to make it go into vapor phase. So if you take ethanol versus propanol, propanol will have a higher boiling point. Propanol will have a lower boiling point compared to butanol. Butanol will have lower compared to pentanol and so on and so forth. So this is first trend. Second trend is for alcohols that have same molecular weight but different structures. We can take N-butyl alcohol, isobutyl alcohol or secondary butyl alcohol, tertiary butyl alcohol. If you take this, as the branching increases, boiling point decreases. The reason being, the longer the branch, the more it interact with other molecule, whereas the spherical it cannot interact with other molecule that efficiently. This has a lot of different places where the aliphatic chain and aliphatic chain can interact, meaning the van der Waals forces are high. So anytime you have branching, the boiling point goes down. So boiling point can be set in the order for similar molecular mass. A 3 degree has a lower boiling point than 2 degree, which has a lower boiling point than 1 degree. So that's another trend that you want to remember. If you understand boiling point, we can also talk about solubility in water. So alcohols have OH functional group, meaning they can form hydrogen bonding with water. So they are reasonably soluble in water. The aliphatic tail makes them soluble in organic solvents as well that are non-polar. Now the longer the aliphatic tail, it becomes more and more hydrophobic, meaning solubility goes down. So when the alcohol chain length increases, solubility decreases in water and the solubility increases in your other non polar organic solvents. That is straightforward. We have seen this before. Now, if it is similar type alcohol, just we can take this example again. The same can be said. Now, this is more hydrophobic because it has a long tail. It likes to interact with other hydrophobic tail or other non-polar entity. So, this will be more soluble in a non-polar entity, whereas this will be less soluble in non-polar or more soluble in polar. So, your 3 degree alcohol is much more soluble in water compared to a 2 degree compared to a 1 degree. This all comes down to shape. These are concepts where you want to understand them extremely well because you don't have time to revise them closer to the exam. So, make sure you understand it, don't memorize it. These you can answer pretty much based on logic. One of the most important property that comes when it comes to alcohol is acidity of alcohols. We have seen this separately in our general organic chemistry, more precisely under inductive resonance effect. I just want to briefly comment on it here. When it comes to alcohol, we have our RCOH group. So, if we want acidity, meaning this hydrogen has to go away and the oxygen gets the lone pair of electron on itself, becomes a corresponding alkoxide. Now, here we can say the stronger the acidity of alcohol, the weaker the corresponding alkoxide as a base. Conjugate base is weaker. We want to remember this because if the alcohol is extremely weak acid, the given alcohol, the alkoxide is a very good strong base and it will behave as a nucleophile or a base, for example, tertiary butoxide. Now, this oxygen wants to take electron from hydrogen and let the hydrogen go. So, if this wants to take electron, it shouldn't get too many electrons from this side. So, as the inductive effect or resonance effect of this side increases, the electronegativity of the oxygen is decreased. So, it cannot take electron efficiently from hydrogen. So, we can say acidity is proportional to minus I of the group attached to oxygen and also minus R, and inversely proportional to plus IN plus R. A common example we can say is, or ethanol is more acidic than your propanol, which is more acidic than our isopropyl alcohol, because I am having this carbon pumped with electron from one carbon, whereas here 2 carbons. So, this carbon is rich in electron, it is going to give electron to oxygen. So, this order you want to remember. So, accordingly we can say the basicity of the conjugate base would be in the order that this is more basic than this is more basic than this. The other thing that you want to know is, when it comes to acidity, the common question that comes is acidity of phenol. We have seen this much more extensively, so I am just going to jump straight into it. So, if you want to increase acidity of phenol, we want to have minus R group. We have seen this before as well. So, acidity is proportional to the minus R group present and inversely proportional to the plus R group. So, the example that we did before are, we can have our nitrophenol, which is more acidic than phenol, which is more acidic than our cresol. So, among nitrophenol we have seen before, which is more acidic, your ortho, meta or para. So, this is a minus R group and a minus I group. So, your ortho is more acidic than your para, which is more acidic than your meta. Similarly, we can say here CH3 is something that is going to give electrons. So, accordingly we can label each of the ortho, meta and para crystalline acidity. I don't want to spend too much time here, that is altogether a different lecture, but at least know that phenols acidity is affected by the group attached to the ring, either minus R or plus R. You want to remember that. Another thing that you want to know is phenols are much more acidic than your alcohols, because their hydrogen goes, the O minus is stabilized by resonance of the ring. So, phenols are much more acidic, and because of this property, phenol gives corresponding tests that are not done by alcohol, and also certain reactions we will see in reactions of phenol which are not answered by regular alcohols, but phenols can do. Phenol, because of owing to the acidity, can also answer litmus test, whereas your regular alcohols are not that acidic, so they cannot answer. Water is more acidic than alcohols, but alcohols are more acidic than terminal alkynes. You want to remember this because this is going to help you out in terms of figuring out the bases. So the corresponding conjugate base is OH minus, RO minus, C triple bond C. We can even make it as alkane. Alkanes are not that acidic. I can also do NH2 here. Now if you see, these are the acidic order, meaning this is the basicity order. You have to see this not only in this chapter, you have to see it so many places so that you start remembering them as out of habit instead of memorizing it. So your terminal alkyne will give you much stronger conjugate base compared to an alcohol, which is an alkoxide, alkoxide is stronger base than OH minus. The reason I am doing this here is people get fixated with the idea that OH minus is a strong base. It is a strong base, it can come out of NaOH, it is true, but sodium hydroxide is not as strong as sodium alkoxide. Sodium alkoxide is used in Williamson's ether synthesis, extremely strong. This one is even more strong, and R minus you don't get to see usually in your syllabus. The reason is R minus is so stable you don't end up forming it at all. So, alcohols commonly can be written as ROH. Now let's look into the structure of alcohols. The oxygen atom has two lone pair, so the alcohol is actually not a linear one. The alcohols have a bent shape just like water. And if you look at chemical bonding, this comes under AB2E2 class. Two bond pair, one with R, one with H, and two electron pair, two lone pairs are present. Now, this comes under the basic electronic geometry of tetrahedral. Tetrahedral will have a bond angle of 109.5 approximately, but this is going to be much less than 109.5 because of the lone pair repulsion. Because of that, the alcohols will have a lower bond angle than typical tetrahedral. So this is more than enough for you guys to remember. Now if I were to put an ether, obviously R and R is bulky group, they want to be a little bit farther away, so the ether will have a higher bond angle than alcohol, but is it going to be greater than 109.5 depending on what type of R group you have. Now that we know the structure of alcohol, we can also talk about the dipole moment. Oxygen is more electronegative than the carbon that is attached here or the hydrogen attached here. So because of that, alcohols will have a dipole moment. So the mu is not equal to 0. It will be polar and hence it is soluble in water.